Alrighty, guys, and we are back. This is the Sports Central on Wednesday this week. We either have it on Wednesday or Tuesday. Guys, I'll just be honest with you. We had an eventful weekend this week. Of course, Merle went down to Oxford. Me and Coach stayed here in Kentucky, and Merle, it wasn't a pretty sight down there in in Oxford.
It's a great trip. The place is amazing. The Grove is really indescribable. I mean, it was wall-to-wall people, lots of Kentucky fans. It just, everything that could go wrong, from guy tripping over his own man, would have been a touchdown. I know they gave Levis problems over the safety, but the punt returner didn't catch that ball and let it get down to the one. Then, he has the first down. Some thought it was targeting, didn't get that call, and then, our right tackle goes out, and that caused the last fumble, but Levis probably locked in on his receivers a little too much, but it was almost like an old Kentucky game. Just couldn't get the breaks, and you just got to move on from that game. I think they're a better team than Ole Miss. I mean, their defense stood up big. Another cool thing down there was Jordan Watkins, who used to be a Russell product, was a wide receiver and played really well for Ole Miss. I coached him in Little League.
Yeah.
And we lost him to Louisville Moore, and then he ends up at Ole Miss and has a 38-yard catch really early in the game.
One of the big things that I noticed down there was we are really good at kick returns, really good at punt returns. But when we have to snap it for kicks, we're in trouble. I mean, you got to look back, all the way back to the Florida game, snapped over the punter's head. And then 2 extra points, a missed field goal, a safety. People want to blame the offensive line for the safety. Levis will tell you he held on the ball too long. He held on the ball too long. You got to know where you're at on the field. And honestly, yes, Kentucky beat Kentucky, but I wasn't upset with the way Rodriguez played. I thought he played well. I didn't think the offensive line played that bad. I think we were a lot better than Ole Miss. If that game was in Lexington, I think Kentucky wins by multiple scores. Having our own guy trip us on a kick return for a touchdown, just little things that you look back on, and Kentucky has a knack. Kentucky has a knack where does this catapult them into another loss? You look back at the 2019 year when we all got hopped for the Georgia game. What did they do the next week? They went and lost to a terrible Tennessee team. So, but before we go any further, guys, last night we had a little bit of a tragedy, or a big tragedy in Olive Hill. We had 2 kids get killed in a car accident. And, regardless if they're athletes or not, there's 2 families tonight without their children. And here at EKA, and of course, Coach Salyers and Coach Kidwell and myself, we're all comments tonight. Couldn't imagine the pain that community's going through, and just to let everybody know that they're not in it by themselves, that we're right there with them. So, sports aside, prayers for the Olive Hill community and West Carter school system. So, but with that being said, we had some games Friday night, and we had one game on Saturday at 5 o'clock, which is a weird time. And it was nasty Saturday. You remember the weather Saturday? There wasn't nobody there at the Ashland game. Now, you don't, do you, Merle? It was awful. It was awful. There was nobody at the Ashland game. Friday night, we had some teams that were off. Of course, East Carter, Greenup, and Russell were off. Pikeville wasn't off. Pikeville played the 6th best team in 6A, which was Madison Central at the time, and just destroyed them. And we debated last week whether that game was in Pikeville or Madison Central. It was in Pikeville. And Pikeville did what Pikeville did, and you see the reflection in the 1A RPI. They went from 11th to 12th, now they're number 1. I mean, that was the catapult. And Hazard's sitting there saying, "Well, we're undefeated though." So I don't know. We had other games. Of course, Coach, I'm gonna have to call you out on this one. It's coming. Me and Merle took Shelby Valley Friday night, and they went to Prestonsburg. And Shelby Valley, of course, leads the state out of all classes in passing yards per game, and I believe they're leading 2A with points per game. I'll say this: it was 14-14 at one time. 35-14 at the half, and I believe the final was pretty bad.
That'd be
Shelby.
40 points.
They got to be really bad,
They
man.
just didn't show up the second half.
Well, it's not that Shelby Valley's good. You know, I can make an argument that Shelby Valley might be a top 5 team in 2A.
Yeah, to actually go on the road, and that's not an easy place to play.
No.
And you coming into, even the Prestonburg, it's a tough place to play. But they came, and the second half they turned it around, and I tell you what, Shelby Valley just showed them what they're about. I mean, they played a great game.
Yeah, of course the Steelers looked really awful over the weekend. The Browns looked really, really bad, and Bengals didn't though. Bengals looked really good, which the Browns looked good earlier this year too. We'll just see. We'll see what the Bengals are about this next coming game. They got Baltimore.
Ravens. The
Ravens. Of course, Kentucky plays South Carolina at home. You got Tennessee and LSU, Browns and Chargers, Steelers and Bills, Bengals and Ravens. Let's just go ahead and jump right into these college games. Kentucky's at home. I believe the spread opened up at 11.5. They were 11.5-point favorites at home over South Carolina, who, listen, the hype was there in the preseason for South Carolina. They were kind of that sexy team that everybody wanted to jump on the bandwagon. Spencer Rattler's coming in from Oklahoma. Shane Beamer's the next old ball coach down there, and they just haven't lived up to the hype. I think that spread's a little low. Give me Kentucky, and I think it's by more than 17.
Yeah, I mean, I think they've won like the last 7 or 8 against
7 out of 8
Carolina.
or something like that, yeah.
They've had South Carolina's number. I look for them to bounce back at home. This 2-game stretch is huge for them.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, and what they did, and I'm glad you said that, what they did, Coach, Kentucky, by losing in Oxford, okay, now for a special season, a win in Knoxville, you have to win. You have to win at Tennessee now.
Yeah.
If you come out of Oxford with a win, you can afford to go to Tennessee and lose. Because, Tennessee's still got to play Georgia and Alabama. So now you have to win in Knoxville to set yourself up for a winner-take-all East game against Georgia at home. If they don't, let's say they go to Knoxville and lose, you want to talk about tickets pricing dropping for that Georgia game.
Yeah.
All those people that paid $250 a ticket for the upper level and back in early September for that Georgia game might be back on StubHub trying to resell their tickets.
There were a lot of people pulling for Missouri the other night. Missouri had that game.
Yes.
Well, you can't just kick field goals the entire second half and win over the number 1 team. Missouri drove the field 3 times. The entire field. One time they started on their own 5. And you got within, the 2 or 3 yard line, 4 straight plays, couldn't score. And then they'd settle for field goals. Personally, if I was Missouri and I know that I've had a great year, there's no way I'm settling for field goals, especially there at the end of the game. I don't care. There's just no way.
That's a win for Georgia on that. Anytime you settle for a field goal, that's a win for the other side.
Well, in the position that they're
you get in that red zone, if you have to settle for a field goal, that you just your defense they've won. They've won the battle.
Mm-hmm. Right, definitely in the position that they're in.
Yeah.
But if that was Kentucky, I'm okay with kicking the field goals because I think Kentucky's defense is a lot better than Missouri's.
I think
Kentucky's still got to go to Missouri.
Yeah.
Tough place to play.
All these games that we're just assuming before Tennessee, Mississippi State's a good team.
Yeah.
They're a good team in Mississippi State. In Starkville, they're a really good team.
Right.
But what have they done since they've been up here? You go back and you look at the Jeffrey Simmons team. How him and Benny Snell went after each other on social media, and they found out.
Yeah.
And what was that guy's name? Their quarterback who ended up being really, really good.
Prescott?
No. It was way after Fitzgerald. Was that his name?
Might have been.
Fitzgerald at Mississippi State. That was back when they had it was a year after Mullen left to go to Florida.
Yeah.
I believe they were 14th in the country, and that was 2019. And, they came in, they lost by 3 touchdowns. Kentucky historically struggles at Mississippi.
Yeah.
No matter what. Mississippi State, Ole Miss,
in the West.
they struggle there.
They just, I think Weaver's going to be back, but I think Jones is out for an extended period. Jaquez Jones. He's out for maybe the season.
That looks like a sprained ankle to me.
Well, on KSR, they said he was out for an extended time. But Weaver's supposed to be back.
Okay.
If you can get him back before we go to Knoxville, that'd be a win.
Yeah.
Well, the good thing is Rodriguez. He's going to have a game under his belt. I just see this guy getting better and better every week as they go, and that's just a big help for them. And I think Coach Stoops, he's not going to sit around and let that happen again and again on that specialty teams. I think he's going to correct those problems and mistakes. I think they're going to be a different ball team coming out next week.
Well, the problem with Kentucky is we'll go ahead and do our picks. I'm thinking Kentucky 17 or more.
Yeah, I like the Cats.
I like the Cats.
We had, of course, we'll do Tennessee LSU real quick. Tennessee goes to Death Valley and Baton Rouge. Too much. Vols offense. Hendon Hooker, too much. Throws the ball well downfield. I know LSU beat a really terrible Auburn team Saturday night. Too much. Tennessee.
I'll go with Tennessee a little bit closer. LSU's 4-1 and could be 5-0. You know, everybody wanted to jump on Brian Kelly the first week. And
Merle, they lost to Florida State. Florida State's terrible.
They also ran into the kicking problem like Kentucky. I mean, it should have been an overtime. I like their quarterback. I really do.
I think if Kentucky played LSU, they would win easily.
LSU still got 4- and 5-star guys.
Yeah.
LSU will still lose 4 or 5 games this year because they have yet to play Arkansas. They haven't played Texas A&M. They haven't played Alabama. They haven't played Ole Miss. And you got to think, what's their East team that they have to play? Tennessee. Mm-hmm. That's another loss. So it looks good now. Well, we'll see the finished product. Tennessee.
I'll take Tennessee, even though it's a tough place to play down there.
Tough place to play.
Oh yeah, it's loud.
Tim Couch won there.
Very loud.
Yeah.
It's right on. It's like the swamp. It's right on top of you.
Well, they say that's the swamp on roids. They say that's where people go to die.
LSU's
The teams
pretty
go to
tough
die.
place to play, but I'm not convinced with Coach Kelly yet, and I'm not trying to say that in any derogatory way. But Tennessee's got a lot of young kids, great athletes.
Tennessee's,
and I just think Tennessee's just too strong for them.
Yeah, Tennessee all
Small
around.
line, though. Small line.
Yeah.
Brown's going to take a trip to SoFi. Last year they played a really close game. Of course, we had Baker Mayfield at the time, but that's not been the problem for the Browns recently. Their defense is terrible. Everybody wants to talk about the quarterback situation, the running back situation. They need to play Kareem Hunt more. Guys, if we could get a stop, we'd be a lot better.
Yeah, if you lose to Flacco and Mariota.
The Steelers did too. The Steelers did too.
You can say the same about Bengals lost to Rush and Trubisky. So.
Yeah.
The UK Ole Miss game reminded me so much of the Bengals-Steelers game. You know, all the botched play, all the botched kicks, and you knew who the better team was.
It's tough to listen. I would rather get beat 40-0 than lose a game like that we know we're better. When you get beat 40-0, you say, okay, we know where we need to work at. Maybe we're just not. We don't have the talent.
Yeah.
When you lose like that, it's just execution, guys. We just didn't do what we needed to do. So, I'm Chargers too much. Justin Herbert and
is it at San Diego? It might be at the Browns.
They played in San Diego last year, so it may be in Cleveland. I don't care. I'm a Browns fan. I think Chargers too much. Give me San Diego.
I think the Chargers.
Excuse me. Give me L.A.
I think L.A. got refocused after that debacle against the Jaguars.
They did.
You know, but I'm not. Is there a receiver back?
Justin Jefferson? No, not Justin Jefferson. Why did I say that? Williams.
No.
Who are you talking about?
The real good one there, Allen. He's their best receiver.
I don't know if he's back or not.
Okay. They've missed him because it's kind of his go-to guy.
That's the thing about the Chargers. They don't have great receivers.
Yeah.
Like imagine if he did. So, still, Chargers too much.
I'll take the Chargers.
I agree with you. The Chargers, way too strong. Defense, too much for the Browns.
The Steelers are going to go to Buffalo. This is easy. Josh Allen will have a field day in that secondary. This Troy Polamalu is not going to walk out of that tunnel. He's not. Give me the Bills easy.
Kind of shocked they're throwing Pickett in at this time.
Well, you think that could be a little bit of pressure from the front office?
It could be.
Because
really? I mean, is it really Trubisky's fault? Not really.
It's not his fault, but you don't have a significant drop-off.
Right.
The ceiling is higher for what we know Kenny Pickett has.
Yeah.
You know, Trubisky has always been very mediocre, and that's no shot at him. He sucks. He does. And at one time I thought, well, he's in Chicago. They don't have any receivers. Well, now he does because Deontay Johnson and Chase Claypool are good receivers. And
Pickens.
Exactly. George Pickens. And they got decent tight ends.
Yeah.
And he still can't throw the ball. I mean, against a terrible Brown secondary. Terrible.
And without J.J. Watt, the defense is just mediocre.
Yes, yeah.
Well, I'm glad you said that. Listen to what you said again.
Not
Without our T.J. Watt, without our All-Pro Defensive Player of the Year candidate, our defense is not very good. Well, I can say with that statement right there, your team's not very good. Then.
Right.
So
I think
that would hurt a good team. It kills the Steelers.
as good as their front office is, I think they let Ben stay 2 years too long.
Yeah.
And they didn't have a backup plan. You know, they didn't have a backup plan at all.
I was always a big fan of Josh Dobbs.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know where he's at now, but he never really got a chance there in Pittsburgh. Now, Mike Tomlin would know more about that behind the scenes. You know, maybe he didn't know the playbook.
I think it's honestly, and I'm not saying this in any derogatory way either, but I think it's time that the Steelers make a change on head coaching job.
I think Mike Tomlin's a good coach.
I think he's a
I'm
good
not ready
coach,
for
but
that
it's
one.
time up there that something
I don't
needs to
know.
change. And
As a Browns
I don't know,
fan,
it's-
are you? No, you're a
I'm a
Raiders fan.
but it's still.
What's
yeah,
the Raiders'
Steelers,
record, Coach?
They're not doing too well.
They won.
but they did win this
Well,
week.
They've
what was
lost
that?
a
What,
lot
they
of
1 and
close
4?
games.
They lost a lot of close games.
Everything in the NFL is so razor
But we're
thin,
talking about the
man.
Bills and the Steelers here now.
Yeah. See, look.
And I'll give you a little story. There's a man, there's a quarterback out there that was in college, put in 140 or 150 letters to colleges.
We're talking about Josh Allen.
Yeah, I mean, I sure did.
Yeah. And the only person to offer him was Wyoming.
Wyoming. And Wyoming took him, and look at this. And now the man makes, I'd like to ask all them college coaches out there, what was you thinking about?
Well, you know what? I'll tell you, to be honest
This
with
guy
you,
can play.
Tom Brady wasn't great at Michigan.
No, he wasn't. And there's
So-
a lot of quarterbacks that's went in the history that's Hall of Famers that's went way down in the drafts and everything. So, but he's making the money.
Steelers,
now.
Bills, Coach.
Oh, it's definitely the Bills.
Bills. Okay. Bengals and Ravens. Of course, the Bengals have a 10-day. They were off for 10 days because they
Conference
played on
game.
Thursday night and they were off Sunday.
a big game.
I
Big
believe
game
this
this
game's in
division.
Baltimore, so there'll be white unis, but not the ones that they're thinking.
We've dominated the Ravens lately.
That is a very tough
Division
pick.
game. Got to win. You got to win these
The
games.
Ravens, now the last 2 weeks, the last 2 times I've watched them, have blown huge leads against the Bills and Dolphins. Give me the Bengals.
I think the Bengals have found something. I think the first week they were like 9% under center.
Yeah.
That's increased up to like 26%. And it's at least given the defense a thought that we might run it on first down.
Yeah.
And I think our defense is vastly underrated. It's been underrated for 2 years, last year and this year. And they rank as high as, Eli Apple is taking on the brunt of the criticism, but you look at his, PFF I like to use that Spencer needs to look up on the internet, but he's one of the higher rated.
Yeah,
rated players.
PFF also had your boy on the defensive line ahead of Aaron Donald.
Rear.
Yeah, better than Aaron Donald. Come on, man. Aaron Donald's one of the best defensive players we've ever seen in the league.
Maybe Reader does a better job against the run.
Yeah, he does a better job of being a sissy. That's why he sit out.
Where
last
was
week.
Donald the other night when Garoppolo?
He gets double teamed every single time, man. What other interior defensive lineman do you know? Have you ever seen it besides Reggie White get double teamed every single play? I mean, next time you watch the Rams, seriously, just watch Aaron Donald. Teams have to game plan around him, and you know who knows that the best? The Bengals. You know why? Because he literally cost them a Super Bowl.
That tells you a little bit about where the Rams are right now. I mean,
If the Rams didn't have,
they got dominated.
if the Rams did not have a good defense, they would never be in the game because their offense is so bad.
Well, their linemen, they don't have any linemen left. They've got one starter left.
Well, they lost their best one, Whitworth, last year. They lost him. And Stafford's not a bad quarterback either way. We'll break down high school football right after this. You're watching Sports Central on the Eastern Kentucky Athletics and the Cool Hits Sports Network.
Hey, this is Greg Gibson with Greg Gibson Insurance. Just a quick question for you. Do you just buy insurance or do you hire an insurance agent? At Greg Gibson Insurance, you hire me. When you have a problem, you call me. When you got an issue, you call me. We fight for you. We try to help you. We give you the best coverage at the best price we possibly can do. But the most important thing is you're not just buying insurance, you're hiring Greg Gibson. That's Greg Gibson with Greg Gibson Insurance. Here to help you make the right call. Call us today, 606-585-0153.
Gillum Drug, 1237 Carter Avenue, Ashland, is a locally owned pharmacy devoted to providing excellent customer service, not found at the chain drugstores, and Gillum Drug will treat you like family. Stop by today and experience it. Gillum Drug, next to Domino's. When you shop Grayson's Sporting Goods, you're supporting a great family-owned business with new owners and team sales. To celebrate, get all your high school gear, including high school spirit wear. Grayson Sporting Goods also does embroidery and vinyl transfers. Open Monday through Friday, 10 to 5, and Saturday, 10 to 3. Check with Grayson Sporting Goods for extended seasonal hours.
Here at Infusion Solutions, one of the things that we're most proud of is the relationship that we develop with our patients.
From the people on the phone to the delivery drivers, I mean, these people are a part of my life. They take care of me. I would recommend Infusion Solutions to anybody.
Discover what we're all about right now at Infusion Solutions.
In the upcoming election, vote Eric Ross for Carter County Sheriff. Eric is an experienced police officer and a dedicated family man. With a 10-point plan, he will work to unite Carter County, increase community involvement, and improve the function and availability of the Sheriff's Department. With your support, we can make Carter County stronger together and a better place to live. Vote for Eric Ross for Carter County Sheriff. Paid for by candidate.
Alrighty, guys, we are back, and we're just going to jump straight into high school football games. Like I said, we had East, Greenup, and Russell were off last week, and Russell really needed that week off. It's a stacked card, guys. You get a couple of weeks there where I wouldn't call them good games, but they're not premier games. They're not those pay-per-view games that you like to see. It's kind of like in the UFC. You get a couple of those cards that are just, not real great. But for me, every week's great. But let's just jump right into it, guys. Big district game coming up here between Mason County and Fleming. This game's in Flemingsburg. Fleming County, I think a good word to describe them this year is inconsistent. And Bill Spencer, if he was right here, he would agree with me. And me and Bill Spencer are great friends. Mason County is ranked in almost every poll in the top 5. I believe they're still undefeated. They haven't really been tested, though, this year. I think that if you ask Evan Ferguson, those Boyd County Lions, they kind of let that game slip away from them. They had Mason County beat. Mason County too much. Usually this is an absolute dogfight. I think Mason County's a little too much for Fleming. Give me Mason.
I'll take Mason and their athletes. Got a nice quarterback. The Henry kid's a really good athlete. Didn't play against Boyd County. They've got pretty good defense. I think Mason by 2 or 3 touchdowns.
Coach?
I'm with Coach. Mason over him pretty good. Too much coming at him.
Now we get into the Nick and gritty right here.
Lewis and Phelps?
No, I think Lewis would. If I had to put a spread on that, I'd put Lewis at
Lewis over
35.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you?
Oh, yeah.
East Carter Raiders. Coach Tim Champlin, they're going to make the bus ride up 64. They're going to turn on 23, take a left, and they're going to ride that bus all the way to Putnam Stadium. This might be the last time we see these two teams play in a district game. Pending the realignment. We don't know what that's going to look like. We don't know if East is going to go 2A. We don't know if Ashland's going to go 4A. They may be in the same district. We don't know. We're going to play a football game Friday night. East Carter, of course, last time we saw East Carter, they got beat up pretty good by the Lawrence County Bulldogs, which we'll get to them here in a second. East Carter never gave up in that game. When it went to 35-14 there in the second quarter, I said, we're in real trouble here. Because East Carter let Lawrence County score right before the half there. If you go in the half down 2 touchdowns there, you never know what happens. Either way, East Carter ended up dropping that game to a really, really, really pissed off Lawrence County team. There's no other way to say it. Those boys came in, they were mad. With the game being at Putnam, and I think Ashland just keeps getting better. They're improving every single week. You saw it against Elizabethtown. People can say Elizabethtown ain't a very good team. Well, guess what? They're a pretty good team. I can tell you why they're a pretty good team. They were 5-1 or 6-1, weren't they? 5-1, and the loss that they had was to Bardstown, who's what, number 2 in the state in 3A. Like Coach said, we talked before the show. They were a senior-dominated team, a team that gave you fits in state championship game when they were sophomores. At Putnam Stadium, if it was at East Carter, I might reassess it. Give me Ashland. I think I'm not going to put a spread on it. I just think Ashland at home is different.
I think Ashland. I think Strader's becoming one of the better quarterbacks in the area. They got the Jennings kid in the backfield, and obviously their receivers are maturing as the season goes along, and their defense. I know Coach Tackett was saying in the paper today that it was the first time they'd put them both together.
Yeah.
Their defense played well at Hazard, their offense played well at West Jessamine. Now they've kind of putting things together, but I think East Carter will come in ready to play. They've got a winning tradition now, but I think probably Ashland by a touchdown.
Coach?
Just like I said, I think I said this, was it last week or maybe week before last, I said Ashland's going to end up winning the district. And, this is why. The Thomas and Jennings kid played tremendous. They're stepping their level up. They're running hard. They're running north-south, not running outside. They're running right up in there where you're supposed to run. The quarterback, by far, he's the best quarterback around the tri-state. What I've seen.
No.
I'm going to have to say
He's the second best. Logan Lundy's better.
I'm not sure about that.
College prospect right now, Logan Lundy's better.
I mean, this kid's throwing some bombs.
He's got a great arm. At his senior year, Coach, he has a chance to be a 4-star prospect.
He hurt you with the pass, but the kid's hurting people with the run. He's showing you at that big of a size. He can run and pick up the first downs needed and pick up a lot more.
He's phenomenal. Listen, for a first-year starter sophomore, he's done. He's blown expectations out of the water.
I agree with you on that. And then the Houston kids just keep stepping it up with the the pass and all the rest of the receivers, like you said, Coach. They're starting to bring it around. But here's the key: defensive line. Coach Zeke up there is doing a tremendous job with them. You can see that the play on the defensive front came to play against a good, like you said, Elizabethtown's no fold. I mean, that's a good program.
I've never known Elizabethtown not to have a good team.
And they dominate. And then the offensive line, I saw that offensive line this week for the Tomcats when we discussed it before in the future on other teams, getting to the second level. That's the key.
Well, Elizabethtown wasn't able to do that. That's why Ashland
got to the second level.
Well, Ashland's linemen are able to win their blocks initially, and then their guards are able to get out on linebackers. And when you can do that, and you got guys like Jennings, and you mentioned Thomas, and you've got Strader who can run now, Ashland's a dangerous team.
And also Coach Miller up there at Ashland, and the special team coach, he's done a great job because I'll tell you what, they're dangerous. It's hard to kick off. No, Elizabethtown wouldn't kick off to them. When they did, they were bringing some nice returns.
Absolutely.
They're starting to make their own.
Yeah, Ashland. I'm glad you said something about. Let me tell you a little something about East. Of course, I go out to East Carter and I do all their home games. I think East Carter showed a dimension to their game that people were uncertain about against Lawrence County in a loss. I think that their quarterback was able to get the ball down the field pretty successfully. I thought he threw the ball really well, and I think that takes some pressure off Isaac Boggs. When you replace guys like Kenyon Cozy and Connor Goodman, let me rephrase that. You don't replace guys like that, but you have guys that fill in that you hope can step up in big games. And I think that they did that in that game. And I know that that had nothing to do with the outcome. They just couldn't stop Lawrence County. And I can tell you another thing. Nobody really has except for Grant this year. But we'll move on. Ashland all around.
This is going to be the biggest game in the area, period. This game this week with the 20 team, because like you said, Coach Champ's not going. He's going to come in there expecting to win, and I'll tell you what, it's going to be a close ball.
I'll tell you, Martin County, Shelby Valley have something to say about that. We'll come back to that. Holmes is going to go to Boyd County. I'm going to make this really sweet and short. Boyd County, easy.
I think Holmes Round got them last week, but I think they set some guys out, played their JV defense. and that's how Round got ahead of them. But I think Boyd's better. I think from what I hear, I have a friend at Holmes, and I'm doing that game for the paper. They blitz all the time. Yeah. I think Boyd County's passing game really hurt them. But Holmes does have a running back that's one of the top runners in 4A. So, but it's all outside speed.
Boyd County's a pretty good team.
And I think Boyd's better, and I think Boyd probably the favorite in that district. Coach Ferguson's done a super job out there. Like their quarterback, like their receivers, like Malachi Wheeler's a very hard runner for him as well. So I like Boyd County at home and setting themselves up for a district championship.
Like you said, Coach, Holmes got that great running back, and they can't let him outside like Ashland did to him. You know, but Boyd, I think Boyd's came a long ways, and I picked him highly.
Yeah, in the preseason you had him at 5.
Yeah,
you had him at 5.
And I like what Coach Ferguson's done out there too. He's done a great job. Boyd County, 2 scores.
Boyd County all around. Just really quick here, Perry County Central is going to go to Johnson Central. Perry County Central, not that bad, guys. I think that them and Paintsville had a decent game. Of course, Perry County Central ended up. This one's in Paintsville though. Johnson Central, too much.
Yeah, Johnson Central starting to hit their stride, adjusting to not having their best running back. You know, they're going to be there.
Yeah, and hopefully get Conley back for the playoffs.
We hope so, but I really don't see that.
With his age, though,
Yeah.
are they in a big rush to get him back that quick? Because Johnson Central's going to reload.
He's just a sophomore,
right.
and you really don't want to put that stress on him and that
Right.
too much pressure. But like Coach said, they're regrouping. Kansas starting to play good ball. Coach Peck's going to have them ready. It's just too much strength up front, too much talent for the Golden Eagles.
Pike Central goes to Lawrence. Lawrence County, easy. Ferguson's going to have a field day. As good as he is on offense, he might be a little better on defense. He's a heck of a mock linebacker.
Yeah. He'll hit you.
Might be one of the best in Eastern Kentucky.
Yeah, I have that game Thursday night. I haven't seen Lawrence County. Looking forward to seeing their ball club because everybody says they've got a really good chance against Belfry.
Yeah.
I've been telling people that. Listen, Belfry thinks they're going to march in and get a district title. Let me tell you something. I believe that game's in Louisa this year. So Belfry got to come up 23 and try to win up there. And guys, it ain't easy to win in Louisa. Lawrence County
big.
Prestonsburg, a team that Coach is really high on, and I am too. But they run a type of offense where, Coach, if they get behind, it's really hard for them to come back unless you get really big plays and really big runs. And in the wing tee, teams are just going to stack the box. They're going to put 8 and 9 in the box and just say, okay, we're going to put our corners on islands. If you want to throw the ball down the field, take your chances. Prestonsburg is going to go to West Carter, who West Carter's playing. Anytime you play with emotion, guys, and heavy hearts, that becomes a dangerous football team.
Yeah.
Give me West Carter.
I think I'll take Prestonsburg.
Okay.
I think West Carter, it will be tough on them.
I think
I guess the game will be played, but
it's at West Carter too. I think that Prestonsburg's going to pull Kentucky.
Mm-hmm.
One loss will lead to 2.
Okay.
And West Carter won last week, guys.
Yeah,
they did.
So they got that first taste of victory, which could be a turning point.
We're all pulling for West Carter.
Yeah, absolutely.
Our love and hearts go out to all those families. That's I went through that experience last year, losing a stepson, and I tell you what, you can't replace a young man or a young woman in your life. You can't replace a kid, and it's just going to be really hard on them. I really think. I think Prestonsburg is going to be a little bit too much for them. It's just it's hard to come over something like that.
There's going to be a game at Flatwoods. Of course, Greenup and Merle's. This is Merle's favorite game of the week right here. As soon as I said there's a game at Flatwoods, he started smiling.
What's some keys to this game, you think, Spencer? What's Greenup got to do? What's Russell got to do?
Greenup's just going to be Greenup.
Yeah.
Let Tyson Sammons be a playmaker like they have all year.
Yeah.
Greenup's a little banged up. The best receiver, of course, is out, but they got some guys in there that have stepped up and made plays. Russell is kind of like they've been, they had Wheelersburg right where they wanted them. They had Paul Lawrence Dunbar right where they wanted them. And the most sickening loss this year so far for Russell is Boone County.
Yeah, no doubt.
There ain't no way Boone County should have ever beat Russell. Boone County is not even half the team Russell is. Russell, I understand what their record is, and I know everybody in that school does because they've had it shoved down their throat the last 6 weeks. the keys for Russell is limit the big plays, make Greenup County drive the ball, and I think that you're going to have to develop a run game more so in this game than you ever had the whole season, even against Wheelersburg, because you're going to have to shorten the game and limit the time that Tyson Salmons has the ball in his hands. Greenup's really good up front. They probably have the best offensive line in the district, Coach.
Be interesting to.
This is a rivalry game, and Greenup has not beaten Russell since, I believe, 2019,
How is
2018.
anybody got the health of Auburn and
They are active this
They're
week.
active.
Cruz and Auburn are playing this week, and that I believe that I heard that was a coach's decision that they set out, which sometimes that benefits them.
Well, the game I saw Greenup lose to Boyd County, the first half, Boyd threw it all over the field, and Greenup could not handle that.
Yes.
And then Coach Ferguson kind of went to the run game in the second half. But like you said, they've got Ike Henderson is a good running back, but Salmons is the key. You almost have to put a spy on him all the time.
And even if you do, can that spy tackle this monster in open field? The kid's a stud. With that being said, I'll be there. Of course, I'm off this week. Of course, my girlfriend's son plays for Russell, and I'm a Russell alumni. You are too?
I know.
So, Greenup, just a little too much. I think Greenup.
Yeah, Russell by this much.
Nah.
Russell by this much.
I had
is
some
my pick.
Russell kids ask me if I was excited for the game this week. I said, I'll tell you at halftime. if it's a close game, I'll be excited. I'm not. Listen, guys. At times this year, the way Greenup's looked and the way Russell's looked, I wouldn't shocked if Greenup put a running clock on them.
Right.
Because when Russell hangs their head, they're as bad as anybody.
Yeah.
And I think that what wrinkles is Coach Moore, and what wrinkles is Coach Maynard and his staff going to come 2 weeks off. This is what you play for.
Yes.
Everybody's 0-0 now.
Greenup, 2 touchdowns.
Man, I tell you, I've thought this over, and I was thinking that too. Too much Salmons, but I think the Red Devils are going to challenge themselves this week. I think they're going to stop Salmons. And Coach said that
he can't stand it. The Red Devil blood is bleeding through right now.
I know, and I'm not biased on that.
Yeah, you are.
No,
yeah, you are.
I just think that the top weapon for the Red Devils is the receiver, and I just think they're going to throw over Greenup. I don't think Greenup's secondary is going to be a challenge for this young man. I think he'll have a big game. I look for him to have 2-3 touchdowns and a 200-yard night receiving.
Well, I can say this because I know this kid. It depends on if he wants to show up and play or not.
I know
because
what
there's
he
a
did.
lot of times defensively that Carson will jog to the ball.
I know
and I
what
don't
he
care.
did
And I don't care
last
who
year.
that offends. That's the truth, and I can show it to you on tape.
I remember, Coach, what he done to us last year when I was coaching.
Yeah, well, everybody did that to you last year.
Yeah, I mean, he had a great game. And
I'm subbing at Russell tomorrow, and I have Carson in class. I'm going to clip that and send it to
You
him.
do?
No, they watch
Jog
it.
in on defense.
I think he's going to have a big game.
Hey, I've got a Huddle account too.
I just think.
You think that's? Do you think that is not common knowledge? I mean, listen, I understand when you're down and you're not into the game and stuff, but don't quit though, man. And I'm not just singling him out. The whole defense does it. And Russell has no depth, so they can't sub in and out like they need to. And it's just the players get tired, and I understand that. It's nobody's fault. But I will say this, Russell's probably the best winless team through 6 weeks I've ever seen. And I've seen a lot of winless teams.
Just like you said, they came close in almost every game. I just think this is a game. This is going to be the game that they're going to push themselves through, and I just see this is going to be a change for Russell this week. They know they've got to change this week to stay with the Ashlands and these Carters and that district.
Well,
maybe there's a silver lining in the injuries in the Dunbar game. The guys that filled in for, say, an Auburn on defense, maybe that gives them a little depth. But Greenup County. It's going to be I think it's like Spencer says, Greenup's either going to win big or it's going to be a dogfight.
Yeah, okay. So, Greenup all around. What are you going with, Coach?
I'm going to go with the dogfight, Russell.
Russell, Greenup, and Greenup.
Russell.
You're going Russell too? Am I the only one that believes in the Muskies? You guys still haven't bought into them yet. Listen, guys, I'm as big as Russell guy as there is.
I know it.
but I know a good football team when I see it. And if Greenup shows up and Russell and Greenup both play the best they can, Greenup will win. Either way, Fairview goes to Paintsville. What are you laughing about?
That's just too much Paintsville. I'm sorry. I'm not
Well, I know that, but
I don't think it'd be as bad as it has been in the past.
Fairview's getting better.
Yeah.
Will Coxon and his staff, listen, guys, and I'm not knocking on the old coaching staff. Fairview's a tough place to coach at. And there's a lot of obstacles that you have to overcome. You know, of course, the numbers, the community support. As soon as you lose one game, everybody's like, oh, this ain't the guy, fire him. You know, and there's just a lot. And I'll say this, there's more politics at smaller schools than there are big ones.
No doubt.
And I'm not saying that's a negative thing for Fairview, but they're getting better, and Coach Will Coxon's doing what he needs to do there in Westwood, especially with how many kids he has on the team. With that being said, the trip down to 23 is not going to be a very good one for the Fairview Eagles. Give me Paintsville.
Yeah, Paintsville.
I'm going to go with the same thing. It's going to be too much Paintsville, but he's done a great job, and I think they're about a year out. They're a year out
Well,
getting them kids
you
to
know,
where they need.
Fairview
They got
is
young
not
kids.
a team that will challenge for a state title most of the
No.
time. If they're just competitive, you know, and listen, don't judge Fairview's season or any 1A school season if they can challenge Raceland or Pikeville. Raceland and Pikeville are elite athletic schools,
Yeah.
okay? Elite. They just have it going on. And, you know, they're very similar. So I don't judge. You know, you see that Troy Howe guy on Twitter. Did you see him ask me if he thinks that Hazard could challenge Raceland? And what did I tell him? Hell no. That would not even be a game. That Raceland will beat them as bad as they want. With that being said, Raceland's going to go down 23. They're going to. You think them and Fairview might share a bus? Is that rivalry?
I doubt it.
That rivalry used to be hot.
Yes,
Yeah.
it did.
That used to be one of the best rivalries in the area, man. When Fairview and Raceland played, wow, that was a week to be alive, wasn't it? It's not what it used to be, of course. You know, and I'll be honest with you, it's because of the surge in success from Raceland. You know, it's been watered down, and Fairview hadn't beat them since like 2012, 2011, something like that, 2013 maybe. Either way, Raceland's going to go down to Betsy Lane. Betsy Lane's, you know, they're not bad. They're pretty good. Raceland, too much.
Running clock.
Running clock first half.
First half, wow.
I don't think Raceland will be challenged again till Lawrence.
Yeah.
That would be a good game. Them and Lawrence. Raceland's front seven is really good. Phelps goes to Lewis County, and this will be the first time I think I'm ever going to mumble these words. I think Lewis County puts a running clock on a team from the mountains.
Yeah.
Give me the Lions, the Kinnikinnick Warriors.
Phelps sometimes.
You don't like that?
Yes, Phelps sometimes don't even. Sometimes they forfeit, but
Merle,
I think they'll come
Merle,
right now.
you know.
This will give Lewis County assured a 500 season. They still have Fairview left, and they still got a shot at a playoff game. They have Fleming coming to Vanceburg.
That's a winnable game. I don't think they can beat Mason, though, Merle.
No, but Fleming had a tussle with Powell just like Lewis, so it's not like it's going to be Fleming in a 30-point rout.
You're from Lewis County, Merle.
Right.
But I bet I know Kinnikinnick better than you.
Right, you do. I'm not a fisherman.
What?
No. If I would fish, I'd be like the guys in that tournament that put lead in there.
What else was there to do in What else was there to do in Lewis County back in the mid '80s? If you weren't fishing,
Play basketball,
I guess so.
baseball. I don't hunt. I don't hunt either.
I don't hunt either. So.
My dad didn't hunt. My dad didn't
Lewis
fish.
County coach. Lewis County coach.
Yes, sir. Lewis County.
5-2, baby. Gene
Another-
Peterson, coach of the year.
It's there. It's there. Pikeville's going to go Sayre. And I don't think, is Chad Pennington still the coach? I don't think he is.
He probably left when his son.
Right. And
graduated.
his son went to Marshall, right?
Yes.
Sayre had, what were they? Started out 9-0 last year or something like that. And, I don't care if they started out 25-0. Pikeville's coming to town, and that is going to be a butt whipping.
Yeah.
Pikeville by as much as they want.
Running clock.
Running clock.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's like Raceland and Pikeville both. You know, they're going through
Just
a
too
stretch
much.
now
Too many
where
athletes. Way too
I'll tell you what, though, if Raceland really needs Lawrence County to keep winning, too. I don't think that they're going to be able to.
is Raceland 3 in the poll this week?
An RPI?
RPI.
I thought they were 1-2. Maybe they weren't. I think, oh, you're right. It was Pikeville, Hazard, Raceland. Either way, those two teams will meet.
Yeah, if it continues the way it is, hopefully it'll be at Kroger Field.
It will be. I don't think either one. I don't think anybody has anything for those two teams, especially when they're
You
playing.
just
on their
don't
own
want
fields.
Raceland to fall to 4 or something where they have to meet.
Why
in the
would they do
semifinal.
that?
I
Why
don't
would they?
think
There's.
will.
I don't think there's a scenario where they could really.
Probably not.
Because they're going to add Lawrence County on their schedule too. So
Right.
I mean that's a team that's only lost one game so far this year. Rowan County goes to Harrison. Harrison historically not been very good. Rowan really seemed like they.
Average. Like you said, they're not bad.
They're not bad. They're not
I'm
great.
gonna take Harrison. I think my son Carson went out and watched Boyd and Harrison. He said their quarterback really good. The rest of their team wasn't great, but he had 280, 300 yards that game all purpose. You got veteran Ray Graham, who's coached since I was a toddler.
Yeah.
And I think they get Round County.
Give me the Vikings, Coach.
I'll take the Vikings.
Spencer's always on the Vikings. He's pushing for them to be a state contender.
Man,
at
I
some
really
point.
like Kelly Ford, man.
Oh, Kelly's a great guy.
If
Great
you don't
guy.
like Kelly Ford, then what kind of you don't got a good judge of character then. Kelly Ford is one of the most top-notch dudes I know.
That don't mean you pick him every week.
Yeah, it does. I like Tim Champlin too. I went against him. You see how that went? No, I mean that district. It's just
So
so
the teams
hard.
you're picking against, you don't like the coach.
No, that's not true. But that district is so weird.
Oh,
You never know who's going to win it.
And it's so far apart.
And honestly, you want to be the
Holmes and
that
Harris.
is the weakest district
It is
probably in 4A easily.
yeah, definitely.
I mean,
Mason's
Boyd
district-
County. Boyd
Mason's
County's best
district's
team.
the weakest in 3A.
Boyd
Because that
County.
district's got to go against the goal.
Whose is?
Mason.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe.
But that district's got to go
Probably.
against the, that district's got to go right up against the Golden Eagles right off the bat. So, good luck.
I'll tell you who the Golden Eagles will have to go up against here really soon, and they ain't gonna like none of it. Carter County Central. Imagine when they put those two teams together.
Yeah,
That's
Carter
down
County
the road.
Central.
It's way down the road.
Either way, all right, we're moving on. So Harrison, Rowan.
I got Harrison.
Harrison. You said Harrison.
No, I said Round County.
Okay, round 2 rounds and a Harrison. Martin County. This is got a big star beside it. One of the bigger games of the week. The Cardinals of Martin County.
Okay.
We're going to play Shelby Valley, who, by the way, I'll say it again, I'm going to beat this dead
Valley
horse.
by 5 touchdowns.
See what you did? You didn't even let me finish, man.
I've seen Martin County.
I have too. They've
Green
got a
up
really
running
good ground.
clocked them.
Shelby Valley has had a lot of struggles against Martin County recently. I believe Martin County ended their season last year.
Yeah.
And those teams like to fight on the field.
Yeah.
They've had players thrown out all the time. So give me, this hurts me to say it because I like the guys at Martin County so much. Give me Shelby Valley. Too much Russ Osborne.
Shelby Valley.
Too much.
I'm agree with you, but I don't care who gets thrown out of this ball game. I don't care.
Do you
what
remember that
coach
video I
says
posted
anything.
there?
What's Coach Sayers going to say? I like Ohio State football too, and I know he loves it.
Yeah.
What's he going to say about the fake punt when they were up 49 to 10?
Yeah.
They got to show the voters that they're a true top
They
4
showed the
team.
punter something. They knocked him in the next week.
They knocked the poor punter in the next week. That was pretty bad. But it's going to be way too much Shelby Valley. I went against them last week, and I
found out too, didn't
I found
you?
out what they're really about and how good they are. And there's going to be too much.
Last game on the docket, McGoffin County is going to go to Floyd Central. Tricky game. McGoffin's not been great this year. A couple of years ago, they were pretty good, man.
Yeah.
McGoffin was.
But not this year.
Floyd Central, I can't ever remember them being real good. They were always decent, but they've never been like, I always thought that Floyd County, where they're so close to Johnson County, that they would have a really good football program. And they did because Prestonsburg was always really good. But, Prestonsburg up until this year was always kind of down recently. And then you talk about Floyd Central. Floyd Central's, I don't think they've even made it out of the district playoffs before. I mean, since the realignment anyways, they haven't. With that being said, I think Floyd Central's too much. I think Floyd Central wins.
At home, I think they will.
Give me Floyd Central.
I picked Floyd Central. I think they're going to be too much for McGoffin County.
Well, guys, we will be back next week. Tonight was my first night producing. I had to come in here today, and MJ trained me. He did the best he could. Of course, I'm an idiot, so he did the best he could, and we struggled with the audio early, which, I FaceTimed and he said, I have no idea why that's doing that. So we changed mics. We did all kinds of stuff. We got a late start. We're supposed to start at 6:30, but we made it through the show.
What about Bama against Jimbo?
Alabama about as much as they want.
Think,
I think Texas A&M's not a very good
you
football
think
team.
Nick is going to pour it on?
No, not pour it on. Not pour it on.
Hello.
I don't think that he has to
Hello,
try
Tiff.
to.
Hello,
I don't
Tiff.
think he has to try to, Merle. I think Texas A&M's that bad. I don't think they're a top 25 team. I mean, they lost at home to Appalachian State, and you can say that was a fluke. Appalachian State's not that good.
About TCU and
Another
Kansas,
team that
Kansas, TCU.
TCU too much. I think this is a great story for Kansas, but Kansas hasn't been challenged yet. The best team they've played so far is Iowa State, unranked. So, and Oklahoma sucks.
Yeah, it's kind of funny that the Red River rivalry.
Two unranked teams.
I know.
And you got to think, who's the best team in the Big 12 right now? Texas Tech? Kansas State?
Texas beat Texas Tech.
Texas, yeah.
No, Texas Tech beat Texas.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
And then Texas beat the Nears pretty handily.
Yeah. So who's the best team? Texas Tech, Kansas State?
Kansas.
They both played? Huh?
Kansas.
When's the last time Kansas? Gale Sayers? That's about the back.
No.
And
Kansas
Boyd
went to the
back in?
Orange Bowl in 2009, didn't they?
Yeah, I guess they did.
They went to the Orange Bowl
Big
and
Mike.
won.
Big Mike.
Beat who?
Big Mike Mangini.
So you picked Alabama over Jimbo Fisher in the.
Oh, yeah. So they're one to buy out. Jimbo, you know what his buyout is?
Well, I know that his contract's similar to Saban's. If I had to guess, $50 million all day.
$95 million.
Ooh, boy, that's nothing down there, though.
I'll put it to you this way: it's going to be Alabama by whatever Nick Saban wants to put.
Yeah.
I like this because I remember back in college playing against Jimbo Fisher. I got a chance to sack him, and I also got an interception off of him.
Who's the best team in football right now, Coach?
in college?
Yeah.
No doubt the Ohio State Buckeyes.
Did I set him up for that one? So
Great
we
Georgia.
shouldn't
We're
have to
ready.
worry about them losing
Georgia
at all
better
this
start
year then, should we?
Well, that's Urban goes to all the Michigan games and scouts for Ryan Day.
Yeah,
Does Urban Meyer even acknowledge the Nebraska job?
No.
No.
he's done.
I don't think he'll get another job.
Doesn't that
It really looks bad how well Peterson's done with the Jags compared to what he did with the Jags.
Well, what Urban comes with a lot of baggage now.
Yeah.
This is not the guy you hired away from Utah that took him to the Sugar Bowl.
I think Wisconsin probably keeps their DC. I think they got rid of Chris so he wouldn't go
Oh,
somewhere
Wisconsin's
else.
terrible now. But that's all the time we got this week, guys. For Spencer Hutchinson, Coach Salyers, Coach Kidwell, this was a presentation of Eastern Kentucky Athletics and the Cool Hits Sports Network.